Hello, friends. Today I wanted to talk to you about everything that has been going on in the last couple of years. And I wanted to draw some parallels for you with my personal experience from when I was a child in the Soviet Union to now being adult here in the United States. Um, I am a citizen of the United States. I'm not a citizen of the Soviet Union, obviously, because it doesn't exist anymore. We relinquished our citizenship, or my father did, and my mom did when we were seeking asylum here in America back in the 80s. So I wanted to draw a few parallels for you, and and wanted to discuss with you what's going on now here in America. And I wanted to start with drawing the main parallel, very scary parallel that I can think of from my experience as a child in the Soviet Union to now in the United States. Um, so back in the 80s and all throughout the 20th century in the Soviet Union, um, there was a mark of compliance uh, that you had to furnish to present to get certain privileges. For instance, good jobs, promotions, getting ahead in line at the food bank. They called them stores, but they were really food banks. Um, Getting better apartments and such. And this mark of compliance was a card, and it was the Communist Party affiliation card, membership card. And with this card, with being an outstanding member and compliant member, you got these privileges. And if you did not have the card, oh, your life was difficult. You couldn't get certain jobs, or any jobs for that matter. You had to wait for certain food items. Um, you Housing was an issue as well. Uh, you just didn't have many many things, many advantages. You didn't have any advantages over the people that did have the card. So if you affiliated yourself with communism and called yourself a communist and showed that you were a member, a compliant member of the Communist Party, then you were good. You were good. You were not as poor as people who were not communists, who did not want to be affiliated with the Communist Party. Um, while the people up top, the ruling class, the elites, they basically lived like Americans do here, middle class to upper class, and so on. Uh, and that is what happened to us there. We relinquished our membership to the Communist Party after my father had written some things, and he was a very intelligent guy. Um, he noticed the trends. He had a lot. He was very outspoken. He was a doctor, so he wrote a lot of things critical of the Communist Party and its history and its founders. He actually did a full analysis of the death of the founding member of communism in the Soviet Union in Russia, Vladimir Lenin, and he wrote a book about it. And it got him in trouble. It got him in trouble. It got him incarcerated for a total of 11 years on and off. And to this day, I remember visiting him at the prison when I was 3 years old, maybe even two or 3 years old, and sing him a song. So yeah, a lot of trauma on my part, going through that, living like that. But luckily, we survived. Uh, their policies loosened in the late 80s, and we were able to submit asylum papers, political asylum papers, to Canada and the United States. when President Ronald Reagan was visiting in 1988 and gave his famous speech. Uh, and we were granted asylum, and we got sponsored here in Colorado by a church. And wouldn't you know, we got here, and before it all collapsed, we got here in January of 1990, a couple of years before the whole thing collapsed. So, and we became citizens. A few years after that, we relinquished our Soviet citizenship back in the 80s. We said we didn't want to be affiliated at all with the Soviet Union or the Communist Party. Uh, Tough times. But like I said, we survived, became citizens here, and here I am now. Um, and I wanted to draw a parallel between the the Communist Party affiliation card, the membership card, and what is expected by the government of you right now here in America. You are expected to furnish another mark of compliance, the Wu-Flu jab card, to show that you've been jabbed, that you've complied with the government's demand that you get injected with an experimental substance. Um, and this card, this compliance card, grants you certain freedoms, if you want to call them, freedoms. You are eligible for certain type of employment. You are not at no risk of losing your current employment. It's easier for you to move around the country. You can go on flights, you can go on cruises, all that crap. Um, and in certain situations, you don't have to wear the face diaper. Um, so it's very interesting how similar those two are, a party affiliation card and the Wu-Flu jab card. Um, what do you think of that? I mean, does that make you feel good that you're compliant with the demands of the government, or does that make you feel horrible that you have devolved to an existence where the Constitution and your civil liberties are basically crapped upon, um, and then that crap is formulated to this vaccine, and then you have to jab yourself with it. How does that make you feel? It can't be good. It can't be good. Although blindly, millions upon millions of people have gone along with this. Um, why? That's what I want to know. I do understand fear. Fear is a big driver of what is going on. Fear is the most potent way to get somebody to comply with something. Um, if you make somebody afraid, you can control them better than anything else. Fear is more powerful than money, actually, in my view. If you're afraid of dying, then you would be willing to do anything to not die. Um, so, following that logic, you would understand that uh, an entity that would like to take control would make you believe that you had to comply with something, otherwise you would be dead. And that's the massive fear campaign. Um, I've talked about this a little bit before, how they have to bribe, they have to coerce, and they have to threaten people to get the jabs. Can you believe that? For a pandemic that is apparently so lethal and dangerous, they have to bribe and coerce people to get the jab. Imagine that. Imagine that. Um, how about this? So, if you were seeing bodies being piled up on the side of the road at every intersection, every neighborhood, then you would know something is wrong, right? That would be kind of like going back into the dark ages with a plague. Oh my goodness gracious, there's dozens of bodies just piled up on the street. Maybe I should do something. No, that is not what is going on. They have to convince you and make you fear in order to get jabbed. No, see, because you can't see what's going on, they will tell you what's going on. Very scary, very scary. And the parallels to communism is just, I mean, super scary, especially to somebody like me that can see these parallels that has lived through that. Um, but don't take my word for it. Do your own research and find out what it was like in the Soviet Union with compliance and furnishing of evidence that you were compliant with the Communist Party. Uh, so yeah, give me a holler. Let me know what you think of that. Um, another parallel that I wanted to draw between the Soviet Union and communism and what is going on now in the United States is the eradication of individuality. Um, I think that America, especially in the last 100 years, has been defined by independence and the freedom to build your own way, to make your own way. I think the backbone of America in the last 100 years has been individuality and small business, entrepreneurs building their own way, deciding what they're going to do with their own lives. This has been the main tenet that has maintained America as the greatest country in the world. Um, the American dream, build your own way, uh, build your own life how you want it, be successful individually, has all been taken away because of this pandemic. Um, and it actually started not during the pandemic. I think it started much earlier. I think it started about a decade ago after the financial crisis in 2008, 2009. I think that the government stepped in and destroyed the playing field and made it very, very lucrative for certain entities and very dangerous and hopeless for others. Um, if you go on, I'm not even going to say the websites, but certain websites that promote small businesses, you go on there and you search, you will find that 70% of the small businesses have been eradicated in the last 2 years, and 80% since 2009, 2008, 2009. All the power, all the capital has shifted from that, from the individual, from small businesses, and has consolidated into these huge corporations that are immune, that have been made immune by the government. So, a good example is during the lockdowns, you can go to Costco, you can go to Walmart, you can get whatever you want out of those places, but you can go to any of the small businesses that can give you the same stuff locally. They were shut down. They could not operate. Nope, it was too dangerous. Pretty scary. Pretty scary how this pandemic has been used to eradicate small business. Just look at the stock market. Who is profiting from a crisis. You would think that this catastrophic event that is so deadly, that is killing people left and right, would tank everything, would tank the stock market. But no, since the stock market only tracks the progression of huge corporations, you can see what's been going on. Where has the money been flowing? Who has been profiting? The huge banks and the huge businesses. So if you're an investor, you're happy. You're happier than you've ever been before. But if you're a small business, you don't even exist anymore. You're just a peon like me, like you. Very scary stuff. Let me know what you think. Uh, Let me know if you would like me to go into some detail about any of these things. Uh, it is a very scary time that we live in. I think that quote unquote compliance is just the beginning. Um, I think that if we do not resist and we do not insist on making our own way again, then this whole thing, the greatest country in the world, the greatest freedoms that we have in history, will go away very quickly. They have already started. So please resist. Please do not comply. Please use common sense. And please be yourself and believe in a higher power. Thank you.